The last time I did a YouTube was to show a big pot. Now I'm going to show a little pot. And this is about, I don't know, not quite a pound, just under a pound of clay. And to review some centering real quick, it's much easier to center small amounts of clay, coning up and then coning down. Very little effort here to do center a pound of clay. Actually, it's just under a pound of clay. A couple of cones. And I don't know if you saw my video in throwing a cylinder mugs. It's totally similar to that. I'm just going to show a little additional feature at the end. But yeah, getting your mound of clay, getting it centered, kind of drilling down, pulling back along the base of the bat. And then this is the part that I love. You get the big bang for your buck when you have this little donut here, and you, as you recall, kind of create this unified tool with your hands, with the sponge in your hands, compressing in and up, and that's your first pull. I mean, I'm almost done with this tiny pot. Kind of stabilizing it here right at the top. Getting some of that slurry out of the bottom, slurry off the bat, kind of pushing in here. I'll use my rib to just push this side out a bit. Also to compress the bottom, get up any extra slurry that's on the bottom. This one I'm going to give a little shape to. I'm going to show one more after this with a little bit more clay. Pull up and in. And then here, my next pull, I'm going to really give it a nice little bowing out and then coming back in. Pretty much done. Maybe give this bottom a tiny bit more definition. Pushing in here, grabbing some of that excess clay, and then with my finger on the inside of the pot, I'm actually pressing out and back in. Now, if you like those lines, great. Or you can take your rib and just sort of, your metal rib or your wooden rib, just kind of clean it up a little bit. Here with my wooden rib, I'll get some of that excess off the bottom. And here I'll show you how with your rib you can do this, wooden rib, you can do the same thing. I used the back side for this little edge right here. Kind of give it an extra little lip. So here's a tiny little pot. I'm making these for little succulent planters. And then as I trim it, at the bottom, I'll just be a little conscientious of maybe going in a little bit more to continue that flow of the curve. Taking that away. And if you recall in the other videos, I like to, with one tool or the other, it could be either this tool or it could be your needle tool, give a slight little groove underneath that base in which your wire tool can get under there and just slide. So this one is slightly bigger. It's just a little over a pound. And I'm going to do basically the same thing but make more of an upright structure, more of a cylinder than a curved pot. I'm also going to make my walls a little thicker than I normally would so that I can flute them. And at the end I'm going to show you that you do that once you've got a leather hard piece. So right now I'm just throwing the cylinder, and this is going to be very similar to that mug that I show in a video, because it's about the same amount of clay. I think this was 1.2 pounds of clay. Again, this is that motion. It's so great. A lot of bang for your buck on that first pull. Kind of pulling upward and inward. You want to go against that centrifugal force. It's really easy to get it to bow out, but it's really hard to get it to bow back in once it has gone out. So kind of keep your clay inward to begin with. And actually these shapes that I've been working on have a slight inward lean anyway. My walls are a little thick. I'm not trying to thin this out too much. I want to leave some clay there. I'm also going to create a little collar here. So this little part here where you're kind of getting that nice and even and centered, you're also going to kind of bring it in a little bit and create this little, almost like a little ledge right here from your wall up, and create kind of this little angled ledge in your collar. And then this last little detail here, you can do whatever you want. You can flare it out, or you can have it just kind of end upright. I'll go ahead and use my wooden rib tool and sort of neaten out, get myself a nice flat surface. Kind of using my finger on the inside to run up along the edge of the rib. Holding that rib at an angle. And I can do the same thing here with this part of my rib, giving it a smooth edge. You can even make some little markings here that later will sort of highlight the fluting. I'm just gonna slight little curve, not much, almost an upright lip, and then the last thing, to trim my base. Sometimes go back and do that a couple of times. Give it an extra kind of contrast between this angle and then the angle in. There we go. Kind of soften that a little bit. Use my needle tool to create that groove and release it from the bat. So here I have some of these little pots that I threw the other day, and they've been setting up. They're leather hard, perfect state for using the little fluting tool. This is a tool that's made by Mud Tools, and it can be used for trimming, and it also can be used for this fluting. It has a little wide end and a narrower end. I've been sort of using a combination of the two when I have been doing these, just hacking away at it pretty haphazardly, getting an organic line coming down. This is some that I did the other day. This one I really enjoyed seeing how I didn't create much of that collared curve there, but I did bring my lines, the little detailing of the lines down, and seeing that contrast with the fluting I thought was interesting. So I'm going to try to achieve that again with one that I threw the other day. Let's see, this one I threw the other day, and as you saw earlier, I created some more like that. So let's go ahead and see how this works. I've set it up here on the edge of a table so that I can get a real continuous motion downward with the tool. I've set a bowl here in my lap so that it'll catch all of these little pieces that are being carved away. And I will start with maybe the wider tool and go up into that collared, curved, or carved area and just pull down. That first one I didn't grab it quite enough. I'm leaving a little bit of space, just trying to get all the way around to determine my spacing. Let's see, I can probably I'll get two more in there. 1, 2, and this one I'm going to try, it's hard to go back, I'm going to try to get that one a little bit wider. Go back with the narrower one and go right in between. Maybe I will not go up as high, I'll start more right at the edge of that collared area. A little change up in where the stroke begins. And in between again. And I'm about all the way around from having gone in between these a couple of times. And I could try to get in one last time to some of these raised areas. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go back now to my wider one to make sure that it grabs it. And yeah, it kind of curves unless you pull down really straight down and kind of really commit to that downward motion. Yep, I lost it there. Got it. All right, we about did it. Some of these I've taken upside down with the smaller one and done a little in this direction where it's a little bit wider and has a little bit of area. This is the whole reason we made these walls thicker, so that we have the room to be able to carve away and not fear it going through the pot. One more. So all these little burrs that collect, wait until a little bit later to wipe them away, because when you dig that deep into the interior of a thicker wall, you've got a lot more moisture there, so you know you're risking adhering that little burr versus trying to wipe it away. So let it dry up a little bit more, and then you can kind of brush off some of those pieces of clay that have gotten on. All right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to show you one that does not have any lines up there, and see what I can do with this one. I'm going to start with the narrower tool, kind of go up about halfway. And then in between, going up about the same distance on the collar. And make your decision as you go around, like if you want to keep on going. This is that haphazard kind of hacking away, but it leaves some nice markings. Not going for the perfection here. I think I'll turn it upside down and do the same thing I did with you. What? There goes my tool. All right, so there you go. The glaze that I'm going to use is a white glaze, and by the time it breaks on this dark clay body, it'll give this sort of an effect. And what a great little container for a succulent. This one, of course, I did not do the little collared lip, but I found that it's easier to have a little stopping point if you have that. But you can always do it straight up and have your little fluting edges start right at the top as well. All right, thanks for watching. Make some little pots.